Hi, welcome to this video. This is a question and answer session. And I have one question that I received from a customer that is preparing from an on-premises privileged access service migration to hyperscalable. And to give a little context to this question, on-premises architecture uses Windows Failover Clustering. And in the context of the name or the FQDN that is registered, that is all handled directly by Windows Failover Clustering. In the new architecture, it's way much more flexible because since web front ends, you can add as many as you want, you typically are going to be using a load balancer and a VIP to be able to register that name and assign it to the multiple web front ends. During the migration, there's a step where you want to be able to balance the ability to roll back just in case something goes wrong versus having a successful migration. So in the case of needing to roll back, rather than completely deleting the role from Windows Failover Clustering, it's possible just simply to stop the role, and as long as the registration is not happening in DNS, the transition to a load balancer based name resolution is much easier. So the question came, how do I prevent a Windows clustering from registering in DNS? And I found some questions online. Thanks for Centrify Mike to pointing in the right direction. But I just wanted to make sure that we can see this as a demo, so those who are doing this have a way to safely deal with that portion of the migration. So I'm going to go to my environment, and here I have my Windows cluster. Turns out that the answer is to disable the DNS resolution or registration at the NIC card level. In this cluster, I have just for the sake of just getting this done, a one node cluster. So if you notice, I have one node, member 2, and the other one is paused, right? And right now, when I look at the properties of the NIC and the active node, if I go to properties and look at TCP/IP, what you'll be seeing here is that DNS, in this case, is unregistered. I'm going to set it up to register, so we can see the normal cadence. So if I were to start this application, one of the things that will happen, and if we focus over here, is that the IP address is up, right? And now the name resolution is up. What that means is, should I go and, for example, ping that name, it will be resolvable. And that's because it went on DNS here. Notice that the name save is not present. If I refresh, what you see is that the name save is present now, and that was due to that dynamic registration. At the same time, my application should be running, obviously, if the database is up, but it's still not up. Actually, I'm curious about this one. So let's do a here it is. So yeah, just wanted to check myself and make sure. And if we do a sysinfo version, obviously not without my, because that's not a valid endpoint, you'll see that, it's running and it's running at 20.5 and all that nice stuff. But if I wanted to prevent this name registration from happening, all I need to do is I'm going to stop my role. I need to go to each of the nodes that participate in this role, and I would need to disable DNS registration. And this can be done, reversing what I did, just going into advanced DNS tab. We're going to be disabling this guy here. And that being said, my expectation now is that if I start the role, there's no DNS registration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh here. And if we do save, notice that save's still there. It'll stay there because of the basic lifetime for a DNS record. So I'm going to just get rid of it, and let's go ahead and start the role. So what you're going to see here on and around this dialog box that I'm actually covering at this point is, notice that it's saying, hey, online, but if I go and visit my DNS, and I'm going to go ahead and refresh, you'll notice that there's going to be no safe record. In that particular case, that means that Windows clustering is no longer in charge when it comes to the name resolution. You would have to have additional means for this to happen. So I would have to create an A record and associate it with a proper IP address, so it would be safe. And let's add 182. So in this case, I'm going to just add it, and this was a manual entry now. So here it is. And my expectation is, and I'm going to just close the browser and flush the DNS cache. Notice that I can still ping it, but my expectation is that the service name will be resolvable and I'll be able to get to my application, which is the case. So in summary, in order for you to disable Windows Failover Clustering's DNS registration, you have to do so on each node that is supporting the role in Windows clustering. I'm hoping that this provided the answer to it and it's helpful in your migration.